Glad to hear that, on commission, and glad to have everybody here. It's great to see a good turnout. So I'd like to call it to order for the record there. The minutes were in the package for June 26th. Everybody reviewed them? Yes. So moved. Second. All right, so you got a first and second, any discussion on? All right. And all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. All right, so the next thing, everybody's got the agenda in front of you there. So we're going to go to the stats and bond projects. And Morgan and Dottie, you take over.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say real quick, thanks again for being here. My name is Dottie Fox, for those of you that might not know who I am. I'm the assistant to the city manager, working very closely with our team on the bonds. Great to see everybody here. What a wonderful turnout. As you know, we've got Morgan McAway, who's been working with us from Freeze and Nichols, working directly on the bonds as of last year. We brought them back in, and so certainly we're going to hear lots of different updates from her and myself later, as well as, of course, land design and 505 design.
All right, thank you. So, today we're going to review some updates. We're going to talk about City Lot, like you said, the Union Square, the downtown lot, and then a couple other updates at the very end. So, the first project I want to talk to you guys about is the Gateway. So this is the Gateway at 70 and 321. And it has, we've awarded the contracts on that. It's under construction. So I'm actually going to ask Kevin to give us an update on the construction progress.
So we have the steel drawings in for, well, that steel elements in for the sculpture piece, so the leaves. We've got the structure into the leaves and the plantings. So we have now, so we've actually worked internally to change those a little bit to where before there was going to be one landscape island in front of the sculpture, and then there was going to be one on the other side. We're breaking the one on the other side up to actually do something on all three other quadrants, because we think it'll just fit a lot better. So we're working with our own contractor, who's a landscape designer, we can kind of change that one a little bit. But that was going very well. We got the grass, I think it's been killed out now for him to do his beds. Earthwork's been done for the foundations for the sculpture, so we're well on the way.
Great. Any questions about the Gateway? Okay. So the Riverwalk is the next thing I want to talk to you guys about. The city did wind up getting grant funding for that, which is really exciting. As you all have seen on City Walk, grant funding does come with strings attached. So because it comes with strings attached, we actually broke the Riverwalk up into two bid packages. So the first bid package is going to include the iconic bridge and the entrance area down to Old Lenore Road, kind of that first section. And then the second bid package is going to be where the iconic bridge ties into the on-land piece, and the rest of that on-land piece down to Lackey, the proposed Lackey Market. And what's great about this is that one of the designers on the team is actually also a designer on Lackey. And last time we were here for the bond commission meeting, we had a lot of discussion about the bike trails and how this on-land portion was going to affect the bike trails. Since the last meeting, we've had a lot of meetings with the Mountain Bike Alliance, and just wanted to quickly show you, and I know you can't read this map, but I did want to just show everybody that we're progressing along with the Mountain Bike Alliance and with their trail designer. We've made a lot of progress. We've minimized the crossings between the bike trails and the Riverwalk, and we're making a lot of great progress on this. Any questions on the Riverwalk update?
Where's Rob? Rob, you know a little bit about that. You want to kind of explain where we are?
Caught me looking at my phone. We've had a couple of meetings, both at the city and out at the trails. Some of the city people who are here, Sean, who went out with us, and some other folks. I think we've got a good working plan. Obviously, it's maybe a small group of people that it was really important to, but was a really good example of where the city and private individuals with private money came together to develop something for public use. I can tell you this, the changes will be a significant change to the trail. In some areas, we're losing some, but we're gaining it back in other areas. And I think we're gonna end up with actually some new features that are gonna make it actually better. And the city's just been awesome to work with on this, so I can't thank everybody enough for coming together. It's great, and if you haven't checked it out, even if you're not a cyclist, you should go out there and walk those trails. You can walk the Hickory Springs Loop in the counterclockwise and experience it. It's a great run trail, it's a great trail to go visit, even if you're not a cyclist. And you won't believe the number of people out there on a daily basis. It's really incredible.
Thank you. Okay. So the next update we have is, of course, on City Walk. So we had a lot of discussion about breaking City Walk up into the Union Square piece and the Spine piece. And when we met with the City Walk subcommittee last week, we told them that we further broke up the Spine piece by pulling the water line out so that we could make additional progress on that. So we've got the Spine piece and then the water line and utilities. And on the Spine piece, we did a constructability review. That went through a constructability review with DOT. And the next step is, and it's currently under review with the railroad. So then the next step is going to be that final review with DOT. And then authorization to bid from the Federal Highway Administration. And then, of course, we're bidding for the project. The water line piece has already been awarded, and the utility relocations are already underway, and I think Kevin was going to expand upon that piece as well.
So, the two things, that the utility relocations, that's Duke Energy, CenturyLink, Charter, that's all the aerial kind of stuff, so not water or sewer. And all that, actually, Duke Energy, we met them today before, they're gonna start setting poles and stuff November the 15th, that week of November 15th. They've already moved trees in several places, trees in several places, so we got the unfortunate publicity that the first element of City Walk was to take out a tree. But it had to happen, of course, for the power lines to be relocated. So that one's up and running. Water line construction, so we've actually bid that project. This next Tuesday, we award that contract, and that contractor is anxious to get started. So we'll see him probably, I would say, the first part of December out there working.
Yeah, I guess I have that wrong. We took it to City Council, is what I meant by that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, great, thanks. Any
And-
questions?
And so all three of those are major elements of work that need to happen before you can really put the sidewalks and the landscaping and that kind of stuff in. So having that out of the way will be a big step forward when it comes to the contract coming into play.
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been the order that they did things in anyways. So,
No indication yet on the timing from the railroad review.
So, good question. We've gotten some comments back from the railroad already. We're hoping to get final comments back from the railroad soon. So, that's about all I can say right now. Yes.
So just a minor question, Kevin, you mentioned removing a tree and utilities. Is there a way, are we looking at where the utility lines are going and not planting trees underneath the utility lines like are going in right now on Third Street?
That you're going to-
The renovation on Third Street,
Mhm.
you probably noticed that they're putting trees right underneath the power lines. Yeah, let's not do that.
Anything else on this portion of the block? All right, well, that brings us to our Union Square downtown block piece. This is a major part of why you're here today. This is our big excitement for the day. I'll hand it over to Beth Piggy, Land Design.
Hi, I'm Beth Piggy with Land Design, and this is Josie Bullock with 505 Design.
Hi.
So, Land Design and 505 team a lot on different projects. We've really worked a lot on retail and how retail environments are being sort of rethought and redone. So we have a long history of working together in downtown areas and also malls and shopping areas that are changing and becoming a little bit more relevant in today's culture. So we were very excited to be asked back to come and look at Union Square. And Design was involved with the Inspiring Spaces Master Plan. And so we're really happy to be able to come back and look at how Inspiring Spaces can be seen through Union Square, and especially the brand of Lakeville Crafted, which we think is awesome and very strong, and we want to make sure that that's tied through the design. So,
I don't know what's happening here.
so we were here several months ago for a workshop, and we met with a lot of stakeholders and a lot of feedback from some of the work that we've done previously. Made sure that we incorporated all of that as we were thinking about how Union Square as a part of Hickory can really be expanded and be something that is a thriving environment, urban environment for the downtown area. So we were here for a couple of days, talked to a lot of folks, and came up with some concepts, which we then refined, presented those to a group, and refined those, and that's what we're going to show you tonight, hopefully. We might prowl around that, but we can do it.
No, I might need to kick it over to somebody else. I can't seem to do it this way for some reason.
Well, there it comes, it's just warming up.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's-
Look at there. Maybe we can turn off the lights.
It's,
And you
Put it right behind where you're sitting.
That was scary.
So land design, our motto is really why just design something? We need to make something that really matters. And that's really important when you think of Hickory and when you think about your brand. It's so really important, Lakeville Crafted, that translates through the heart of Union Square. So when we were here looking at Inspiring Spaces Master Plan, we're thinking about all of all of the spaces, all of your public spaces and how they sort of work together. It was really interesting, and some of the public input that we got during that process is that Union Square, you can see up there, was something that the community really recognizes as a critical part of the improvements that need to be made as you think about Hickory and the improvements for the future. So we started, as we were really looking at Union Square, we want to go back and look at the past. Well, how did it function in the past? It seemed like it was always the heart of the community. And we really like to build from this inspiration. And the vibrancy has always been found. It's changed a lot, right? So we've seen a lot of changes. But looking at how it functions today, making sure that we're looking at, again, the brand of Lakeville Crafted, and how can we continue to make this a lively place and keep it even more activated and support the retailers and the businesses along the square. So here are some of the concepts, as I was telling you when you were here for the workshop. And the main concept was really that there's a promenade that comes along the front of the retailers, along the storefronts, and that's really important to have activated, but easy to walk through. And then to have a central lawn, which is very similar to the place you have in front of the sales, but to tie the sales better to the storefronts through the lawn and to what we're calling a front porch. So having a sort of porch area in front of the sales that brings that space to have a lot more functionality. And then also one of the things we really noticed is when you're walking, when people are in Union Square, they're sort of passing through or they're going to one spot, but there aren't a lot of places that really encourage you to stay and dwell. So we wanted to create that. So from that, we started looking at different ideas, and this is some precedent imagery of what those spaces, when we talk about places to dwell, places to stay longer, is these garden rooms, what they might look like. So little areas that are enclosed. If we think about your plant material that you have there now, it's sort of grouped, a big mass. But what if that's opened up and carved out a little bit, and that plant material is actually used to enclose a space, to make it a little bit more comfortable place to sit and stay. And then the lawn area, the lawn being sort of a central feature, it ties into the sales and the retail, that can be used for many different functions. So you can sit on the lawn, you can picnic on the lawn, you can have events on the lawn, and it's a green space that really, kids can come and play there. When we were working on this Inspiring Spaces Master Plan, and even the downtown design or the open space design guidelines, one of the things that's really important for Hickory when you think about your brand is the materials that you're using, and that they are authentic materials, that they support the craft style, the makers. So we're looking at, these are some of the ideas of what some of the materials might be like along Union Square. There's natural materials that are used in a way that are artful, give plumage to the furniture industry, and are really rich in texture and color. So this is the master plan, and it looks at we're looking at the whole block as well as Union Square. So we're looking at 3rd Street, First Avenue, and then 2nd Street. And really when we think about the streetscape, we're recommending that you leave the curves in the location that they are, except for in key areas. And those areas right now are pretty much areas that are painted with yellow paint, so they're sort of marked off. And we see opportunity there that you can create bulb outs or extensions of the sidewalk where you can create a small park, little parkette places for people to sit. And that's how you can grow the streetscape experience. So if you can see in the corners and at key crossings at Widener Alley, that we're looking at enhancing just the mid-block crossings in key areas that we can create more shade and a little more sense of place. So I think there's an enlargement. So here, this is just some examples of creating sort of pocket parks of cool places to sit, and how enhancements of mid-block crossings, so using some pavers to enhance across. And then this is an enlargement of Union Square. So I'm going to take you through this a little bit. Feel free, anyone, to interrupt me. So here's the children's playground here. It's really important, we think, to make that a stronger connection across, so that's where it feels like they're weeding together. So having an enhanced crosswalk there, and actually taking out the slip lane. This was something that we had looked at in Inspiring Spaces, but take out that slip lane, and then you have a little bit more of a park space there, and less crossings for the pedestrian. Then a gateway, which Josie's going to show you some gateway elements. So a small gateway element that announces that you're in Union Square. And then some pocket parks. So that's the little garden rooms that we're talking about. Really enhance that. But there's also those little paving areas can be used by the retailers, or they can be used as public spaces. So it really is, as retailers change, or retailers right there would like to have outdoor seating, they can utilize those spaces. So it's really flexible. So then the promenade comes through with shade trees. They have an open canopy and you can see through them. And then we come to the cannon. This is an elevated, we're elevating the cannon and creating something that's a little bit more playful. Cannon Hills, that we're calling it. You can walk up it, you can kiss and you can touch it. It's accessible. And it's a feature at that end that sort of locks in this end of the lawn. There's the open lawn area, the sails, the front porch that we're talking about, and then a wide walkway connecting across the railroad tracks. And then here, when you're getting to the railroad tracks, you cross to the parking, a more enhanced gateway. We're going to show you in a minute. And then again, continuing along here with a wide promenade, with outdoor seating and additional garden rooms. There's some stage underneath this sail. And then here we're proposing, we're working with the bathroom footprint that was recommended during the city walk plan, sort of changing that a bit to tie it into the sail structure. So we'll show you something like that as well. And then a multi-purpose covered area that can be rain-proof for when it rains, but also can be used for multiple events, whether it's a concert, programming, an outdoor classroom, or it can be used, you can put seating up there, have movable tables and chairs. So lots of different functions for that. But having the added function that it works when it's raining, more coverage.
Would you go back just a minute?
Uh-huh.
On the lower left where you got the orange, understanding that that's where the underpass is for the railroad.
Right.
Is that orange? I think that's a bridge that's added. for walkway and bikeway, is that correct?
Correct.
That's the city walk, and it's not gonna be added, it's just, it's already.
It's a bridge across.
Yeah.
It's already designed. That's not part of this plan, that's part of the
It's
city.
already approved. City Walk.
But it is a way to get over to the Lowe's Food City Park.
Yeah, you'll fly over there and you can walk back down from there.
Yeah, which I think is a nice enhancement.
Well, no, it doesn't connect to Lowe's Food, it's still on the south side of that street.
It is, it gets over, but there's parking spaces over there.
That's right.
Yeah, so there, it is a connector, because parking is an issue. And I think on the right-hand side, Rick, did you tell me that we didn't increase the parking areas? More parking spaces, is that right?
Well, no, the same here, we'll work on a parking study that would increase in 3-hour parking,
Okay.
those spots for certain parking areas. But you might mention about the fire lane, how
Okay,
the fire department worked with us so we could have that promenade.
so this provides access as a fire lane as well as the parking area, so that this has been reviewed with the fire department, we worked with them to make sure that we can still have the design, and it's still very accessible with the fire trucks. But you don't have to have as wide of a walk as you do right now. So this is a perspective of the plan. So you can see the Cannon Hill raised up, the outdoor seating, keeping, right now we're proposing that we keep the polio monument, the clock tower stays, and we work around that. The sales stay, we look at perhaps enhancing the usability of the existing stage. Is there a way to extend that for certain events if it needs to be a little bit deeper? Then you can see the restroom facility and the multi-purpose covered area right next to it. Another perspective that is looking at the monument, so you're looking towards 3rd Avenue from 2nd, and then looking the other direction. So the plant's material being very simplified, but yet lush and being used to enclose spaces. So it's green, you can see over it, but still helps you, gives you a sense of enclosure. When you're sitting out there right now, there's really nowhere that you sit. You feel like you have your back to any area. So I think that this really helps you create spaces of enclosure. Do you want to talk a little bit about
Sure.
that?
So in the site plan, there are 3 places where there are portal elements or entry elements. These elements can be somewhat sculptural. They announce revival at Union Square, but we also want to make sure that they enhance the brand image of Delightful Crafted, that they're consistent with that. So in terms of materials, we're looking at cut steel or aluminum, something that we could possibly work with a local artisan to fabricate. We could include the kind of leaf motif that Hickory has as a part of the logo, and that's becoming a part of the gateway element that's under construction right now. Let's see. There we go. So this on the left would be the portal element that would happen coming from across the rail line as you enter into Union Square. We see these as being, transparent, that this is a cut metal, so you can kind of see through it. It doesn't block your view of anything, but it feels welcoming and warm. It announces Union Square, and there's probably some lighting element, so that in the evenings it is in a really warm, welcoming way. Then the smaller element over on the right-hand side of the screen would occur at the 2 entries from 2nd and 3rd Street. I think I got that right. But would also give you information about the shops that are on the square, whether it's an electronic, interactive kind of thing, or whether it's something that could be manually changed over time as those things change. Either way, it would be there and kind of have the same similar vocabulary, have the same kind of lighting in the evenings. but be a smaller version of the larger gateway from where the rail lines are. Can you come up with the drawing?
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay, so this is the shade structure that we proposed for the end of the park. You can see that the roof element is taking its cues in design so that it has a similar kind of shape and form to the sails that are already there. But we've added this kind of warm wood underneath it for the wood decking part of the structure. And it has a very kind of, it extends the kind of greenery of the Union Square design, and the idea that the greenery starts to form a kind of enclosed space, but it doesn't block your views to anything. So if you park, you can still see through it from the back and see the retailers. If you're on the space, you can still see what's behind you, whether it's the parking or onto the street. And it can serve a multitude of functions, like Beth said, whether it's storytelling, whether it's like we're showing it here, just for tables and chairs. Maybe you have a big event on the square, you need it for that. Or it could also serve as an alternate location for a performance or
This
something.
replaces the stage that we looked at the city wall.
That's right.
Right.
I know not everybody saw that, but that's what that's replacing.
Correct.
You still have the stage on
You
the
still have-
sales for the,
Right.
for all the big
The
events.
stage under the
This is
sales
more of a
stage.
community
This,
type.
this just allows you some versatility,
Right.
so that if, so it gives you that hard roof surface, so it really doesn't keep the rain out, and it just gives you one more amenity in Union Square.
This has been revised from feedback from that in terms of having a solid wall. So the feedback was look at the wall, so we looked at that wall, and this is the revision to that.
Right, that's what
Can you give us a sense of the size? Is it big enough, obviously, for a quartet to perform, or how much bigger?
Yeah.
How many tables?
But if you, they're going through, you'll see all the different
Yeah, I
sizes.
Okay,
wanted
great,
to kind
If you just let them get through.
yeah, we've got some other views later in here that'll kind of show that. I don't know why it's, here you go. So this is a view from the green, looking at it. It's a similar width to the existing stage. It's actually deeper than the existing stage. Encloses about the same amount of area measured in square feet, but the proportions are different.
But the roof structure kind of matches the roof on the bathroom.
Exactly, yeah. The two of those definitely play off of each other, and they all are kind of reminiscent or inspired by the shape of the sails. Here's a view from it, so you can start to see the angle of it, how it is related to the angle of the sails. This is a view from the parking area that's behind here with the restroom building to the left and this shade structure to the right.
It's a little more open than the other last
It's
week.
much more
Yeah,
open.
it looks-
And we feel good about that. We feel like that was a good comment, and we think it's an improvement. And there it is seen from the other end, from Cannon Hill. These are just more orthogonal plan drawings, so you can actually see the dimensions of it. From all four sides. And then this is the bathroom building. You can see it has a similar roof geometry as the shade structure. It's very simple structure. Right now, its plan is based on the plan that had already been designed,
The floor plan's the
the
same.
floor plan, right.
But the architecture has been changed a bit to fit more with the architecture of the shape of the cells as well as the shade structure.
Right.
So that they all sort of create a family of vertical elements.
materials, we see brick, metal roofs that'll be kind of reflective and light. The reason everything's shown in these light colors right now is because it evokes more of that feeling of the sails, the lightness of those. That's something that we'll continue to study as we develop the design for them. And then bringing in the warmth of the wood and the screen element that kind of evokes the idea of well-crafted.
So this is looking at sort of the lighting, and this was an exhibit that was put together by staff, and then we've added to that. So looking at the existing lights and trying to reuse those, but also supplementing that, so increasing the light levels, looking at areas that would have enhanced architectural lighting. So these are like pedestrian scaled lighting, and then where the structures are, introducing special lighting at that.
Can I just explain one of the things we heard? On the whole block is going to have the same type of low-level lighting that we have on the city walk in downtown as well. So we'll have the high-low lighting, so we're taking care of lighting and security.
So other things that we're considering, of course, is the fire truck access, which we talked about, making sure that the design supports safety for fire access. We want to make sure, right, that we're really respecting the history of the square, and that's looking at all the monumentation and trying to tie that in and to make a more cohesive experience of the history. So whether that's keeping the lighting, the monuments, the clock tower. And when we think about what we were talking about dwell time, that was in that article, the newspaper article, looking at how, when we think about retail and shopping, people are not necessarily coming just to buy something, but they're coming for an experience, and that experience creates people staying longer. So we're trying to create spaces that create more reasons for people to stay. And as part of that, not just the physical design, including, there'll be increased lighting levels, but there'll be Wi-Fi, audio can be piped out there, so you can have music, and then a variety of different types of seating that are really comfortable, whether they're movable tables and chairs, or they're really nice benches, but lots of different variety of seating. So to increase the comfort of someone staying there.
And Beth, what was one of the other terms? Instagrammable.
Instagrammable moments. And what are the key shots, photos that we're going to be taking?
And one other thing, that all the restaurants that are downtown, we made sure to have lots of room for outdoor seating.
Yes, and we have studied that, and so there's flexibility built into that, whether it transitions into public outdoor seating or it's private outdoor seating. Construction sequencing, we had talked about that a lot internally and also at the last presentation. So we're going to look at, one of the things that we have done in other projects is that creating a contract with the contractor that's really clear about when things that access to businesses needs to be open all the time, so that should never close, as long as businesses are open. So we'll look at different ways of doing that, and whether it's phasing from going from the storefronts, getting that done first, and then moving away. But we'll have to do a customized phasing plan to make sure that we're working with the retailers and the store owners to keep the disruption as short of a time as possible. And then the city, as we mentioned, is doing a parking study. We're trying to increase areas where you would have access to parking and 3-hour parking limits. Is that right?
Hey Dave, you want to talk a little bit about the two areas that would be closest?
Sure, yeah, the two areas that we had, Freeze Nichols, Morgan and their team worked with us on a parking study, and the two areas they looked at really within 500 feet of kind of the center of Union Square, where the parking lot directly to the southwest of Union Square, so the parking lot to the west of Old Hickory Station, that one adding some 3-hour spaces in there, and also adding additional 3-hour spaces in the lot adjacent to the Lowe's Food City Park. The recommendations in the draft plan look at kind of in that 115, 120 additional 3-hour spaces within really a 1-minute walk of Union Square.
So looking at the project, we looked at cost estimates also, and really thinking about this as two different projects, Union Square and then the streetscape. Overall, this is for Union Square, looking at a $2.1 million investment, and for streetscape about a little over $1 million, so totaling $3.2 million. And with that, I think that's pretty much, the overview of the project. We're really excited to be working on it. We think that this is a functional plan that really helps create spaces that are very usable. It really gives a facelift to the area, and I think can really work to be as part of the brand in the heart of the downtown.
Well, and I probably ought to say that we're doing the whole block for about the same that we were just under Union Square. So in the end, it's mostly an infrastructure project that you can add art to later when you have spaces, but it's a plan of taking the existing structures and using them.
And in terms of art, also, I think it's using the landscape as art as well. And whether that's the Cannon Hill, we're trying to really create an artful place, whether it's through the benches and other monuments to really try to express the art history of Hickory. With that, thank you.
Answer questions?
And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer. You can turn the lights on, please.
You want to go in the record, you want to say the recommendation? What the
Yeah, I'm just
recommendation?
gonna wait and see if there was any questions. Okay, then let's move.
Question.
Okay, yes.
Just had a comment. This is not me, it's Ernie Sales. He was on the City Walk Committee, and he and I were in a meeting last week, and he couldn't be here at Death in the Family. But he wanted a couple things brought up, and I told him I would. He has some real concerns about the implementation of how this is going to happen, as you addressed it a little bit. But he thought it could really be in the request for a proposal, in the bid package, some specific things. He had the thought of keeping the brick walkway in front of the stores open the whole time, and actually then going back in the very end, once everything else is completed, and doing those kind of last, so people could still park on other areas of the square and at least walk down the front, the whole square. And then parking, if the flag court was finished before any other parking was addressed or lost. You know, we were in the flag court, no parking, but that was all finished before we took out the ones that were in the city block by the road. So we had a couple of things that he printed out, not legally, but I think he said he already had a copy of it.
Right.
We kind of want everybody on the committee to do that, so at least it could be in the proposal and not just an afterthought once people did it.
Yeah, no, it's very important from our experiences that it is part of the proposal that so when the contractor is bidding on this, all of this, has an impact on how much it costs to build something. Really important to do it, but it is really important to make sure that it is in the bid documents that the contractor is bidding on.
Yeah, and it was always, the city walk is where the parking lot's changed, so the flag court's always going to be done before we take away any of the spaces where the city walk's going to be. So I think the parking issue is there. And then, Kevin, you want to talk about the construction itself compared to what you did before?
Well, compared to what we did before, in this case, we're directly affecting the businesses, and Beth and I talked a little bit before this meeting. We think it's imperative that we just make sure we take the time to put it in the specs, and we may even get to the point of trying to select contractors beforehand, like a pre-qualification of contractors to help us build what it would look like. The downside of that is the more conditions you put in a set of specs, the more expensive the project gets, because the more you tie their hands, the more it costs to have them do it, because they have it the way they have to do it then. But with this project in particular, we know that that's going to be the case with Union Square anyway, because the important thing for us will be to maintain access to all the storefronts at all times that the storefronts need. So, I'm not going to say that we won't shut it down at 2 o'clock in the morning when nobody's there, but at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we want to be sure that everything's open and people can get where they want to get.
This might be a good opportunity for me to make a point I made at a couple of different meetings about this, which is that I think it's going to be important for this group, for the city, for the Downtown Development Association to make a push in the community We're making this improvement for the benefit of the whole community, but it's gonna have a short-term impact on the retail merchants on Union Square. And so I think we all need to be cognizant of that and have a push in communications to really encourage citizens to continue to patronize downtown merchants during the construction, even when it's a little bit more cumbersome to get there, to get into the tap room to eat, and to get into shop to shop. And I think that needs to be part of what we all communicate and the marketing of this project.
Yeah.
You got a question back?
Is the bus stop staying?
What we're showing is actually the bus stop was recommended to be moved prior to us drawing this plan. We think it's important to, because of the addition of the parking lot that's being extended, that's an opportunity along the streetscape to bring Union Square out to the street. Because if you're driving down the street and you see the parking, it doesn't really read as Union Square. So we think we were showing an enhanced landscape, like a streetscape area there with more garden rooms. So that's what we're recommending in the master plan.
So you recommend that you're going to remove the bus stop, but you're not going to put the parking spaces back that used to be along that street?
That is the recommendation in terms of what we believe is the best view and enhancement of Union Square. The bus stop is one street over, closer to City Hall.
No, I'm talking about the bus stop on the second street.
What's that?
Not the main bus stop, the one that's right there on Union Square.
Yeah, she's talking about the bus stop. The bus stop is going in her plan. But what she did, is it's guarding rooms in place of where the bus stop was to make that a little thicker area, what they're recommending. But they are taking the bus stop out.
But they're not going to add additional parking spaces back on that street.
And that's not what their plan is right now.
What is the timing of all this? When does it start? When do we get started so we can tell our friends or people that we're representing that this is good going?
So right now,
The
When
timing.
do you start?
It'll be completed by March.
That's what I'm thinking.
well, the most moving council, I think by first quarter next year, will be under construction. That's our goal.
I've got a shovel for you,
There, for one thing that I'll point out is, we were in a meeting yesterday on Riverwalk, chairs and vice chairs, and that was pretty interesting. I mean, Kevin, you shared this. Next year, I mean, I've been on this committee from the beginning. It seems like when the thing's actually going to happen is a big question. It's going to be very busy next year, and it's possible that most of these enhancements could be done by 2020. That's what I heard yesterday, which is pretty encouraging, having not seen anything really start yet. So next year will be a very busy construction year, and we think most of the things should get done by 2020, which is, I was encouraged, but that's the same question. We've talked to you guys for a little too long.
So part of the timing is that we approved this tonight, saying as city council. Right? We need to do our part here, if everybody's in favor of it.
Yeah, great point. So when we brought this to the City Walk Subcommittee last Monday, they unanimously approved or voted to bring their recommendation here tonight to approve the Union Square plan as it was presented, with additional consideration given to the back wall of the new stage, which is what was mentioned tonight, that back wall has been revised from like a solid brick wall to what you saw tonight. So what we would ask, and I don't know why this is so low, but is that the proposed recommendation to City Council is to recommend to City Council to move forward to construction with the plan as presented today. So that's what's on the table for,
I guess we need a motion. Second?
Second.
All right, so what's the discussion on the, or have we had it?
I would want to say something to them, because that in reference to the old plan that we were looking at, one of the concerns that I always had was to have the dwelling kind of experience downtown. I thought that would benefit business downtown as opposed to people coming there just to shop a specific store or whatever. And so I really commend you on your efforts to do that in a way that's not tacky, that's not just filled with little things to do. It's more of a place to be. And I think y'all done a pretty good job with that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right.
All right, good deal.
Great.
She got one more little thing.
One more thing, other updates.
So, something that you had heard me talk about several months ago in an email, for me, I had some exciting news. We had been awarded a grant from the NCDOT, the North Carolina Department of Transportation, for what's being called the Book Walk. It had to have a name. You may remember this from the Inspiring Spaces packet that you all have received. I forget what page number it is. I'm going to say 21 or 24, but it escapes me at the moment. But the original concept was being able to connect the historic Ridgeview Library and Ridgeview Recreation Center to the downtown, but also to US 70. So we were happy to report this at the last city council meeting, that we did receive the funds that would allow us the opportunity to extend what you all already know is the main 5.2 mile trail, which starts at Little Ryan University and then goes along the city walk and connects up at 9th and then goes along Old Mill Road and then over to the River Walk. And so now you see the red line that kind of drops down. And as we're moving forward, once we get the project agreement from North Carolina Department of Transportation, we will be able to start meeting with stakeholders and really narrow down that exact pathway. But just as a quick overview, it's basically, it starts across from City Hall, and so it connects from there, and then it eventually will go in front of the library, and then it'll come down Ford, and then provide better connectivity over to US 70 to get over to the Walmart neighborhood grocery store. We've got a lot of power lines already in the sidewalk areas, and so we just want to make that as a safer, enhanced area. Certainly, we'll be talking to the stakeholders and the community in future time periods, along with, of course, the bond commission as well. And so, as that comes forward, we'll bring that to you all. So there was $2 million for the book walk, which is the first segment, and then there was the southern part, which is $3.2 million, and so it's an 80-20 match.
So everybody knows that the bond referendum that passed was $40 million. And we've got over, almost $23 million of additional grant money that's on top of it. So we got $63 million roughly to use, not just for what we're doing, because that's the other economic development thing that Scott and Laura are working on. But this just shows that if you build it, it'll happen. Right? So let's make it happen. Anything else?
Nope.
Got it, you're good?
Just one last thing. So thanks to everybody for your time today. The recommendation from you all will go to City Council next Tuesday, November the 6th, at our City Council.
All right. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.